going to introduce Roberta Holloman. I have like a two sentence about her. She's lived in Cupertino for 52 years. She's a member of the League of Women Voters, Cupertino-Sunnyvale. She's served on the board in many positions, including most recently their president. She's now the chair of the Council of the League of Women Voters of Santa Clara County, and we really appreciate her being here today. So I'm going to hand this over to Roberta. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judy. Good afternoon. Judy has told you why we're here. We're having a forum for both school districts that are in our area, both the Fremont Union High School District and the Cupertino Union School District. Candidates have left information. Their information is on the table outside in the hall, which you can pick up as you leave. And the League has solicited questions for the candidates from the public via email in advance of this forum. The candidates will have 60 seconds to answer each question. We have a timer here in the front, Mr. Stuart Rosenberg, with his hat on, so you can find him. He will signal you when you have 30 seconds left and when you have 15 seconds left and when it is time to stop. So we're going to first hear from the Fremont Union High School District candidates. The candidates are Jeff Moe, Roy Rockland, and Jenny Ewan. As Judy said, there are 2 seats open in this contest, so you get to vote for 2 candidates. So, the first question we have, which may sound familiar to you because we've asked you these questions, some of these questions before, but what has prepared you for this office? And we'll start with Jeff Moe.
Thank you, Roberta. So what has prepared me for this office is having been a member of the board for 4 years. So during that period of time, I've read thousands of pages of board material. I think I counted 15,000, and asked numerous questions, maybe to the chagrin of our district staff, all the questions I asked. But in that process, and in addition to meeting with members of the community, I've learned a lot about the district and am really looking forward to even being more effective in the next 4 years. In addition to that, my background before joining the board, I was very active in the schools, raised 4 children who went through all of our public schools and had an excellent educational experience. And throughout that time, I was very active in the schools, coach of youth sports for many, many years. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Roy Rockland?
Thank you for inviting me to this forum. Thank you to the Cupertino Rotary. My background and experiences have prepared me to serve on the school board. I have valued education in my own life, earning a PhD in analytical chemistry from the University of North Carolina, and I'm also an honors graduate with a chemistry major from UC Santa Cruz. I have 25 years of experience working in high-tech companies, most recently with Agilent Technologies, although that was 10 years ago when I went into teaching. I'm the author or co-author of 5 patents, 3 books, and 25 publications, mostly in peer-reviewed journals. So I understand the importance of an excellent education to a successful career. When my children were students at Homestead, I was active in the, mostly in speech and debate and marching band. I was the barbecue coordinator for Homestead marching band. So most importantly, though, I've been a chemistry and physics teacher at Lynbrook for over 10 years now.
Thank you. Ms. Young?
Hi. Hello, everyone. My name is Jenny, and I appreciate Rotary of Cupertino holding this forum for all candidates of school boards. I'm new for you, but I may be famous in the community by my yard signs. You may saw my red yard sign everywhere because I'm passionate on community service. I do a lot of community activities. So I got a lot of supporters. I'm an active volunteer and board member in PTSA and the School Site Council. And my background as first generation immigrant and a parent, current parent in this district helped me to set a bridge for all the immigrants and our district together to have a better communication, better understanding for all the parties. Thank you.
Thank you. I didn't say at the beginning, we're going to just ask questions of one district at a time so that you can, get it in your head who's running for what and how you're going to vote, okay? Okay. And now when I ask the next questions, I'm going to jump around and asking you to answer. So I want to keep you on your toes. Next question. What is your understanding of the roles and responsibilities of the Fremont Union High School District trustees? And let's start this one with Ms. Ewan.
Okay. As a board member, I think that is the representative of the community member stakeholders, parents, and also the important way for the community to commute with the district. So it is very important for a member to have a heart serving for the community as well serving for the students and the district and the teachers. So as a board member, if elected, I would do my best to do my job, including like communications between all the stakeholders, including different races in our community and the district staffs, teachers. So currently our district have a 71% students raised up in the first generation families. That's why I think it's very important to have a better communication.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Moe.
So the role of this school board is, first of all, to ensure that schools are well run. It's not to run the schools, but ensure that schools are well run and that the outcome for the students is optimal, that ensure that all students have the best educational experience that they can have. Also to represent the people, to listen to the voice of the community, to listen, show respect, and then another aspect, work together as a team, because we don't make one decision. We're a collaborative group. As a board member, we only move forward as a single body with a decision. So it's really important to work together with other board members too. And then another aspect is to be able to commit the time necessary to do the work. It's a big effort, a lot of activities to go on. There's a lot of events to attend, and it's important to step up to that.
Thank you. Mr. Rockland?
Well, one of the difficulties of going third is that the other two candidates have already said pretty much what I was going to say. So I'll just reiterate what I feel are the most important points. So the board is the governing body of the district. The board is elected by the people and is therefore the representative of the people. The job of the board, as Jeff pointed out, is to make sure that the district is well run. The board doesn't actually run the district. The superintendent and her staff run the district. So as a board member, my primary goal will be to make sure it's well run. And to me that there are basically two items that I see in that. One is the quality of education that the students get. Is it the best? And the other is the financial management. Is our financial management conservative and proper, and do we know where every penny is going, where it comes from, and where it's going? So to me, those are the responsibilities of the board.
Thank you. Now our next question. What are the top budget challenges that the district faces, and how will you work to address them? We'll start these with Mr. Rockland.
Well, the top budget challenge is providing compensation to the teachers and the staff that will allow them to live around here. It's extremely expensive to live here. So our salaries would normally look good based on comparisons with almost anywhere else in the country, but for many employees, it's not at all sufficient to live in this area. And I think it's important for our employees to be able to live here. There really are no easy solutions to that. This is a problem that's sort of baked into state law as a result of Prop 13 from many years ago. As our property tax valuations go up, we can improve our finances. We can also improve our finances through a parcel tax. We have a $98 parcel tax right now, which is actually somewhat low compared to a number of the other districts. In order to get a higher parcel tax, we would have to convince the community that that is worth it. So we would need excellent communication with the community in order to do that.
Thank you. Mr. Moe?
Sure. First of all, I'd like to talk a little bit about a couple of the highlights of the budget. In two points there. Thanks to the generosity of our community, in the voters approved a $295 million bond. It was Measure K, I believe, a couple of years ago, and we're well underway to planning and modernizing and expanding our classrooms. Another plus is we have the best ratings. We have the highest rating from both Moody's and S&P. With having high bond ratings means low interest rates on the bonds we pay, which saves taxpayers a lot of money. And as Roy mentioned, the real crisis we face is with the high cost of living. How do we attract and retain excellent teachers and staff in light of this? And there's a lot of creative solutions that we're working on that take more than a minute to explain.
Ms. Ewan?
Our Fremont Union High School District is basic aid district. That means majority of the fund is from parcel tax, property tax, the local funds. And we have a budget of 137 million per year for 11,000 students, which is pretty good. We don't worry about too much on budget currently in a couple of years because the property tax is going up or keeping stable. That could be predicted. However, the teacher starting salary is around 60,000 without stock option, without a big bonus. So the housing issue will be a big issue for the teachers. And how could we solve that? My concept is we should work with the city councils to see how could we set up affordable housing for teachers so that we will not touch the budget too much on that.
Thank you. Thank you. The next question. How do you think the district should handle district boundary changes in Lynbrook and Cupertino areas when residents seem to be quite opposed to any such changes? Let's start with Mr. Moe.
Yeah. Well, it's very important to listen to the community. And right now, there's an approach. The superintendent has a citizens advisory committee that's doing excellent work, that's looking at this very difficult and challenging issue. It's brought together 40 members, approximately 40 members from throughout the community to really dive deep into this problem and what the solution is. I think they're doing great work. Been reading the minutes. I'm looking forward to hearing their recommendations, which are coming up soon in a month or so. I, rather than recommend what the right choice is, I really want to hear what they have to say first. And I just totally support the process, though, of gathering community input to come up with the best solution.
Ms. Ewan?
Cupertino High School has almost 2,300 students this year, and Lynbrook has more than 1,700, less than 1,800 this year. And we predict that Cupertino has more students in coming years. And that's why the district set up the committee to talk about some ways to get more students for Lynbrook and the less student for Cupertino High to balance the enrollment. I think the committee is doing a lot of job. They're doing a lot of research on that. And they have already initial vote last week The result will be published soon, and it could be a good reference for us to know what is the best way to accept the community and what is the best way for the district as well.
Thank you. And I have lost my place.
My turn.
Have you answered yet?
No.
How about Mr. Rockland?
I am pleased that the Citizens Advisory Committee appears to be deliberating and basing their discussions on very well-established facts and avoiding sort of rumors and fears about what might happen. Instead, they're looking at what the actual enrollments are, and they have very, very good projections for the enrollments going into the future. So I expect that the committee is likely to come up with a good recommendation, because when people know the facts and they understand the implications, they usually make wise decisions, and I think that that's an extremely important point. I think there's also a lesson to the district here in that communication with the residents is extremely important whenever we are contemplating a decision that we think may be controversial. We really need to get out in front of it with a lot of information, a lot of communication to the community.
Thank you. Now, everyone has answered that one, right? Okay, moving on. As a school board member, what should the district's #1 priority be and why? And we'll start this one with Mr. Rockland.
#1 priority. Well, I've heard people say safety is the #1 priority, and other people say that the education of the students is the #1 priority. So it's pretty hard to pick a single #1 priority, but so I'm going to pick 2 #1 priorities, if you don't mind. And one is, how well do we promote excellence in education? Do the teachers and the staff and everybody have the belief that all of their practices should be continuously evaluated for improvement? And I think we do a pretty good job of that. We have committees, the most recent PLATE committee, for example, that's helping teachers collaborate in order to do that. Another is finances. We must keep conservative financial accounting, maintain a surplus in the event of a financial downturn. So to me, those 2 are our #1 priorities.
Okay. And Ms. Ewan?
I think the top priority of our district is that the qualification of the education, because our school is teaching the students, and the students is our future. They're the future of our community. They're the future of the families. So the education is very important for all peoples, for all the families. And the second one, I would say the budget. Budget is most important as well, because if we see the qualification of education, we'll see without a good budget, how could we provide good education? How could we have good teachers? So we need to watch out the budget as well. It's very important. And the third one is the school safety. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I think we have time for one more question before we go. Thank you. I'm going through a different kind of timing here because things are a little different than what I had planned, and so I'm getting off schedule. But Mr. Moe, please tell us what you think about the most important priority.
Sure. The school district is doing great, and I want the school district to continue to do that. But one of the first priority things that I would work on is communication with the community. And this isn't the first time that that's been an issue. When I joined the Asian American Parents Association 20 years ago, there was issues of communication with the community then. And we, members of the Asian community, and I say we because I'm the very proud parent of 4 first-generation Asian American children, we didn't feel like the school district was listening to us, hearing our needs, and the schools weren't giving us the recognition we think we deserved. Well, at that time, we set up quarterly meetings with then Superintendent Joe Hamilton, and he was never afraid to talk about any topic. Any topic was fair game, and over time, we built a bridge. Well, that was 20 years ago. Now we need to build a new bridge. And it's going to be different than it was then, and I have some great ideas I'm eager to work on.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going into the last two questions of this part of the forum. So this penultimate question is, would you please state and answer a question you wish you had been asked? And we will start this one with Mr. Rockland.
Question I wish I had been asked. Trying to remember how I answered that the last time. I think I thought of what am I doing to prepare myself to serve on the school board? That's the question I'm asking. Well, I've been a teacher now for 10 years. I taught 1 year in Eastside Union and then moved to Fremont Union because it's a lot closer to my house. So I know what goes on in the classroom, and I think that's an important qualification for being on the board. Secondly, I've attended a lot of board meetings, read a lot of the various reports, and gotten into detail about what really goes on at board meetings, how much power isn't quite the right word, but what they can actually do, and what they do more through policy discussions. So the board doesn't exactly issue edicts. They work with the superintendent to come up with policy.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Ewan.
I would like to be answered the better communication. As I mentioned, how could I set up a better communication? Currently, our district doesn't have communication time for the stakeholders or community members to contact each board any issue they want. So if elected, I will be the one who set up an open time once a while, like once 2 weeks, open for the public. Anyone can reach me for any issue. We talk face by face on certain times so that we have a better communication. Your input will be considered. And I'll be very glad to meet all the stakeholders on a certain time.
Thank you. Mr. Moe.
Yeah. The question I asked myself last time was, what is the status of our schools? And I rattled off a long list of statistics that show how outstanding our schools are. But I want to tell a story now about a different kind of success that our student has. A student came to us as a 10th grader a few years ago with a 6th grade education and without any English language skills. Shortly after starting school, he got into trouble, landed in the community school. Now, at other school districts, that would have been the end of his education. Here, it was the beginning of his turnaround. He had positive connection and encouragement from more than a dozen teachers and other staff members over the next 3 years. They connected with a very supportive uncle. The student worked his tail off and not only graduated on time, but took more math courses than he needed. He was awarded the District Student of the Year award. At his award ceremony, I talked to him and he said, I'm now on my way, on my way to college. Now that says a ton about the school district, that every student deserves the best education is not just a belief, it's a practice. And I support that ideal fully.
Thank you. And now we come to the very last question for this, for the Fremont Union High School District candidates. And for this one, we're going to go in the reverse order of the first one. So we'll start with Ms. Ewan, then Mr. Rockland, then Mr. Moe. And the question is, why should voters vote for you? Ms. Ewan.
The first is as I mentioned, I'll set up better communication way for everyone. The second is I will help more community members, stakeholders involved in district events. As of I know, many parents, including the first generation immigrants, love to involve in the activities of our schools and community. But due to language barrier and the limited knowledge, they don't know how to do it. And I want to help more and more parents and community members involved in our community activities and the school events. The third one is I will encourage parents and students not just make effort on academic development, but also on character development. I hope when our high school students graduate, they not only get a diploma of graduation, but also have ability of critical thinking, good communication skill, and a passion for serving our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rockland.
School board members must always be aware that their decisions should be made to support the education of all students, from the strongest students to those who need the most help. I don't have a narrow agenda. I'm not out to advance the interests of a single group. I will serve all students and all members of the community. I have shown with my choices in life that I value the education, and I understand the importance of education to one's life and career. I have been a parent of students in the district. My children graduated from Homestead, and I was active in the schools at that time. I have been a Sunnyvale resident for 36 years. Most importantly, I've been a science teacher at Lynbrook for over 10 years. I know what goes on in the classroom. My education and experience has prepared me to serve the district well on the school board. Thank you.
And Mr. Moe.
Yeah. I remember early in my term, our Barbara Nunes, a veteran board member, told me that if we want the district to be excellent, as board members, we need to be excellent. I've worked very hard these past 4 years to live up to that standard. I'm a good listener, sensitive to the needs of others, a team player, a collaborative problem solver. With that background, along with the 4 years of experience, I believe that I'm up to the challenge.
Thank you. And let's thank these candidates. So remember, you can vote for 2 of the 3 candidates. Now we'll move on to the Cupertino Union School District. There are 4 candidates for this school district board, but only 3 are able to be here today. The ones who are here are Liang Chow, Josephine Lucy, and Phyllis Vogel. Greg Anderson was not able to be here. And not again, but in this contest, there are, yes, again, 2 seats available, so you can vote for 2 candidates for this contest. Now we'll move to my Cupertino questions. And we're going to start with, in order, for Ms. Chow, Ms. Lucy, and Ms. Vogel. And then I'm going to mix up and try to remember to call on everyone at least once. So, first question, what has prepared you for this office? Ms. Chow?
Thank you. I'm Liang Chow. First, I'd like to thank everyone for coming today, and I'd like to thank Rotary members for all that you do for the community. Your service is invaluable. I'm a mother of 2 school-aged children. Education is very important to me. Because of that, I have served on the board of YMCA to support science education for underprivileged children. I've also led math circles to engage students in the joys of problem solving. I've coached student teams to present their self-made science gadgets at Maker Faire. And week by week, I volunteered in classrooms and on field trips such as Yosemite. With a PhD in computer science from Princeton University, I taught in universities and in Germany. Coupled with my years of experience as hardware and software engineer, I have a firm understanding of K-12 education in relation to industry demands and what it means for the future of our children.
Thank you. Ms. Lucy?
Thank you. I'm running for re-election to continue my 15 years of service for this community. Since being elected to the board, I've gained a strong understanding of the district organization, budget, curriculum, and long-term needs. I'm intimately familiar with both our successes and our challenges. Under my leadership, as our enrollment increased, we were prepared with bond revenue to add needed classrooms. During the recession, we maintained smaller class sizes and avoided employee layoffs. As we transitioned to the Common Core curriculum, we developed pathways to ensure our students still had the ability to take algebra or geometry in the 8th grade. As president of both the Santa Clara County and the California School Boards Associations, I've had the opportunity to visit school districts up and down the state and have used that experience to advocate for public education policy issues both locally and statewide. I'm privileged to have represented my community, and I hope to continue to serve. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Vogel?
Thank you, and thanks also to Rotary for hosting this forum, and thank you for the yummy lunch. I have always been passionate about kids and about education. My husband and I raised 2 sons in this district, Blue Hills and Miller, and I was employed by Cupertino from 1963 to 2005 as a teacher, principal, and assistant superintendent. I served during those years on almost all of the district committees. I was active in the Asian American Parents Association and in the Cupertino Sister Cities Committee. I also participate in lots of school events at Lawson, Eisenhower, Dilworth, Montclair. I could go on. Because of my involvement with parents and staff at the district level and my involvement with students at the school level, I feel I'm well prepared to continue to represent all stakeholders as a board member in CUSD.
Thank you. Next question. What is your understanding of the roles and responsibilities of the Cupertino Union School District trustees? And we'll start with Ms. Vogel.
All right, thank you. The roles and responsibility of trustees are to set policy for the district. It's the responsibility of the superintendent to do the day-to-day management of the district. So as we set policy and she moves forward with carrying out those policies, then we come back and monitor and make sure that our policies are being carried out in effective ways and in the ways that serve students the best. Included in that, we monitor student achievement, we monitor budget, we monitor hiring practices, and we monitor facilities. And in addition to that, I think it's important for school board members to be visible in the community, to meet with people, to listen to people, opportunities for input so that we can make the best decisions to serve everyone. Thank you.
Ms. Chow.
The board should provide oversight on how our tax dollars are spent, provide guidance with goals derived with full engagement of the stakeholders. The community is both the investors and customers of our school district. Teacher housing at Luther site is a decision that was made without involving stakeholders, not even the employees. The district management should be held accountable to a long-term plan with clear goals and objectives, measurable and meaningful outcomes that provide structure and direction for staff and the community. The technology use one-on-one iPad program is such a program, and some consultant contracts that have been reviewed is implemented without clear goals and outcomes. West Valley Reconstitution is another example of poor management. The district needs to build trust and partnership among stakeholders in order to face challenges and solve problems. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results.
Thank you. And Ms. Lucy.
So I'm not going to repeat what Phyllis said. I agree that the role of the board is sort of a high-level visionary piece, that the administration is in charge of execution and the board comes back again to look at accountability. But I will say that we have board goals that we did develop with community input. 3 years ago, when we began our LCAP planning process, we sat down and involved stakeholders, including staff and parents at each school. We went to each school site, talked about our student data, talked about the new funding that we were getting, and talked about what we thought we needed to do over the next 3 years. We've updated that plan yearly. It's on our website. So we do have a very set and very clear set of goals and visions for the school district, which I believe that our administration has executed. So I think that's our job, vision, allowing the district to execute without micromanaging, and then coming back at the end to look at accountability. Thanks.
Thank you. Next question is about a deficit. It says the previous CUSD, I did call on everyone, right? Okay. The previous CUSD administration operated under a surplus. We are now running a deficit of up to $2 million, according to recent figures. What have you done to address the budget shortfall? And we'll start this with Ms. Lucy.
Sure. We ran deficits under our previous superintendent too. The recession, I think, put almost every school district in the state kind of on a very difficult budgetary path. So I'll say that as a board, we sit and we're required by law to look at a 3-year plan, 3-year budget, our current year, the next year, and the 3rd year out. We've actually, in our district, asked to look at a 5-year plan because our real budget challenges actually occur in year 4 and 5. If we look forward and look at what our budget challenges are, primarily it's declining enrollment as students leave, dollars leave, but we also have been demanded by the governor to absorb the increased cost of employee pensions. So our employee pension contribution goes from 8% of payroll to 18% of payroll over the next several years. And that's something that we've really had to look at in terms of how to phase that in, what we have to do with our overhead in order to make that work. So I think we've worked very hard to look at a long-range plan for our budget. Thanks.
Ms. Vogel.
Thank you. And again, I'm not going to repeat what Joe said, but I do want to talk about the process moving forward. We know that we're going to have to make cuts. Because we're a revenue limit district, our income depends on the number of students that we have, and we are declining. We have a very active budget advisory committee with lots of very bright people on it who are going to help us do that. So we're going to bring that group together. We're going to talk to them about where the shortfall is, what needs to happen in the future, and they're going to help us. They're going to make recommendations to us about where those cuts should happen, hopefully far away from the classroom and hopefully without involving cutting personnel. Thank you.
Ms. Zhao.
The average student population has been growing by 1.9% in the last 20 years, which is 300 students per year. But starting from 2011 and 12, the rate has slowed down. However, the administrative cost has increased from 2011 to 2015, with student population only growing by 0.3% per year. The number of classroom teachers grew 5.3%. The number of administrators grew by 47%. The number of non-classroom teachers, support teachers, grew by 400%. This is during the time when our student population almost remained flat. And all these have been approved by the board without much deliberation. Even though we are the lowest funded school district in the county, even in the state, our goal should be to spend whatever money we have in the most effective ways. Have we?
Thank you. Next question. How can the board help reestablish community trust in our district's governance? And we'll start the answers with Ms. Chow. Do you want me to repeat the question?
Yeah, could you
Sure.
repeat the question?
How can the board help reestablish community trust in our district's governance?
Community trust depends on communication. The district has made some decisions without involving the stakeholders. And then after those decisions were made, like the West Valley and Luther and even technology use program, these programs were implemented, but then after 3 years of pilot, there is no assessment on the effective use of this program. We are asking the teachers to use technology, but our board meeting could have used technology to have video conferencing, webinars to engage the teachers. For specific issues, we could have online feedback. We can allow the teachers to provide anonymous feedback so that teachers can provide true feedback on all these training programs that a lot of teachers think are not effective and the money is wasted. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Vogel?
I agree that communication is the key to building community trust. I think we do a very good job in Cupertino with communication, and I think we could do better. I think you can always improve. I think that the various committees that we have in our district that involve parents and teachers and administrators really bring together a lot of ideas that help the board with decision making. But I believe that there are ways that we should explore that we can improve that line of communication and perhaps improve the two-way part of that. Thank you.
Ms. Lucy?
Sure. I think when you're communicating, it's really important that you deal with facts. So for example, let's just talk about teachers in the district and the claim that we've hired more teachers than we need. You know, during the recession, we cut out of the district office. We did everything we could to make sure that we kept our teachers in their classroom and that the classrooms were whole, but we devastated the district office. We eliminated our curriculum department. We eliminated a lot of the overhead positions. Then the state came in and said, here, you have a new funding formula, and oh, by the way, you have a new curriculum you have to implement. It's called Common Core, and it's completely different than what we've done before. So we did rebuild. We rebuilt our curriculum department within the district office to help with professional development among our staff so that as we rolled out that new curriculum, our students would do fine. So I think you have to look at where you are in an organization, what's taking place, whether it's declining enrollment, whether it's new curriculums, whether it's new budget. You have to put your resources where you need them, and then you have to deal with facts as you talk to your parent community. Thanks.
Thank you. Next question. What do you see as the 3 greatest challenges the district faces over the next several years? And we'll start with Ms. Lucy.
Sure. I think we've got a couple of challenges. Budget's clearly one. The decreasing enrollment changes our revenue, which means we have to look at the revenue that we have coming in. We're going to have to cut overhead. We're going to have to look at our district office and what we can eliminate there. We are going to have to put a community committee together to look at declining enrollment across the districts and the effect primarily on our elementary schools and what happens when a school gets really small. How does that affect the ability to group students? How does that affect the ability for teachers to collaborate? So we're going to have to look at declining enrollment and budget. We have to finish what we're doing in terms of curriculum. We've rolled out Common Core. We've got math most of the way out. We're working on writing now, and then we're going to have to look a little bit at our reading program. So we have to finish our curriculum piece. And then I think we have to build new ways that we're communicating. We've done parent coffees at every single school, 25 schools last year. We'll do that twice again this year to kind of build different avenues to communicate with our parent community. So those are our 3.
Thank you. Ms. Chow?
I think I agree with that declining enrollment and the budget deficit are the challenges that we must face. To face those challenges, it's important for us to look at the past practices honestly. What didn't work? The concerns from teachers, concerns from parents. Behind every person who expressed their concerns are 10 more parents and teachers who have genuine concerns, and we must address them. When we don't address those concerns, we only use PR firms to make everything sound better. Problems are not solved, and they are just going to get worse. The district is now like a rotten apple. It's rotten to the core. The core is our teacher. Maybe you look at the apple. Part of them looks nice, but then there are the rotten part. If we don't do anything, it's going to continue to be worse.
Thank you. Your time's up. Ms. Vogel.
Well, I think the 3 challenges facing us are to maintain our high student achievement, to deal with our declining enrollment, and to deal with our budget concerns. But I'd like to address what I believe is important about a board. As our Cupertino Union School District Board, we serve a little over 18,000 students and the families of those students. And I think it's important that we don't pick and choose and listen to only those people who have complaints or have access to grind. I think we have to listen to all facets of our community, respond to all the needs of all the people, difficult as that is, and make the best decisions to serve our kids. So I think that's important to me as well.
Thank you. Now we come to a question we already asked the high school board. Would you please state and answer a question you wish you had been asked? And we'll start the answers with Ms. Lucy.
Sure. I'm just going to give you a little bit more about my background and my experience so you have some information with which to make decisions when you vote. I'm a Stanford University graduate with a master's degree in mechanical engineering, and I spent 20 years in the aerospace industry working on satellite design and on the space shuttle program. My husband and I raised 2 children who went through Cupertino schools, and my initial preparation for this role was my volunteer work at my children's elementary school, where I was a PTA member, chair of the school site council, and a classroom volunteer, as well as serving on various key district advisory committees. My role as president of the California School Boards Association gave me the opportunity to work with legislators in Sacramento and with school board members all across the state to understand public policy education issues and to understand the issues that face all of the students here in California. CSD is one of the highest performing districts in the state. It's a great school district. Our students are well prepared for high school and for college. I'm proud of our school district and what we've been able to do, and I'm privileged to represent my community, and I hope to continue to serve. Thank you.
Ms. Chow?
I'd like to talk about my priorities. Students first. I will ensure students receive 21st century education. Programs must require high standards with critical, collaborative, and reflective thinking. Decisions should actively engage teachers, address parents' concerns. Second, fiscal health. I will demand long-term planning to hold the district accountable. We will align budget with strategic priorities directly impact students and classrooms. Safety first. I will advocate for student safety and collaborate with the 6 cities we serve to study and lay out minimum standards for traffic and playground safety. Stakeholder engagement. I will work to build partnerships and collaborate to solve problems that impact our families, students, teachers, and staff to improve the quality of life for all. It's important to understand that some people are concerned, but then as elected officials, we shouldn't assume the silent majority agrees with us. We should reach out for all views before we make decisions.
Thank you. Ms. Vogel?
I'm sorry, would you repeat the question?
Yes, this is the one where we would like to know, we'd like to have you state a question, or no, state and answer a question you wish you had been asked.
Great, thank
Something
you.
we didn't bring up yet.
Thank you. The question I'm going to ask is one that I get asked by parents all over the district, and it's about traffic. How will you mitigate the traffic situation? So, and in fact, next week I'm going to Montclair School to walk to school with the kids to look at the traffic situation on Foothill Expressway because they're very concerned about that, and I share their concern. So one of our administrators is on the Safe Routes to School Task Force, and that's a group that's exploring ways to mitigate traffic. We're also working with the city, the Cupertino District, and the Fremont High School District to encourage biking and walking to create safe routes to schools. We have a bike safety curriculum in our middle schools. And since we serve students in 6 cities, it's a challenge to manage the traffic and the safety of children getting back and forth to school, but it is a priority of mine. Thank you.
Thank you. And here's the last question. Why should voters vote for you? And we'll start with Ms. Vogel.
Voters should vote for me because experience matters. I have the experience and background to continue to be an effective Cupertino Union School District board member. Student achievement has always been my highest priority, and Cupertino continues to be one of the highest achieving districts in the state. For me, student achievement is not only academic achievement, it's also the emotional and social health of children. I have been and will continue to be a good steward of the public funds. I chaired both the parcel tax campaigns and the bond campaign. The parcel tax brings us $8 million a year, and the bond brought us $220 million to renovate our schools. And thank you to all of you for supporting those efforts. I'm proud of my service to Cupertino, and I would like to continue to work with students, staff, and community to keep our district strong. I hope to have your vote on November 8th. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lucy?
Thanks. CUSD is one of the highest performing districts in the state. Our students are well prepared for success in both high school and college. I've worked hard to ensure that our schools are safe and engaging learning environments, and helped provide and lead efforts to provide technology and infrastructure upgrades. We're successfully transitioning to the new state curriculum, and our test scores show that our students are doing well. As one of the lowest funded districts in the state, we have exercised prudent budget planning to best manage our limited finances and to provide quality instruction for all our students. Our decreasing enrollment will require both short and long-range planning to ensure our schools remain vibrant centers of our community. We will need to work in partnership with our 6 cities to address the impact of building, growth, and traffic on our schools. I've been honored to serve this community. I have the experience, the leadership, and the commitment to guide us through the challenges ahead. Thank you for your consideration.
Ms. Chow?
I'm very excited about the possibility of serving my community. With my educational background, industry experience, and my ability in data-driven research, I will bring a scientific perspective to the school board to prepare our children to be visionary thinkers, innovative makers, and in the fast-paced technological world they will face in the future. With my grassroots community connection and my ability to listen to all views, I will bring a fresh new perspective to the school board to rebuild trust and form partnerships between parents, teachers, staff, and the wider community. Aside from my strong qualifications, I will rebuild trust in our community. Trust is the glue that binds us and our students, homeowners, business owners depend on it for a healthy community. Vote for me and Gregory Anderson. Vote for our future.
Thank you. Let's thank these candidates. More information on these candidates and both the Cupertino and Sunnyvale local measures on your ballot at Voters Edge. This is a league website, votersedge.com. Used to be smartvoter.com. Votersedge.org, excuse me, and it used to be smartvoter.org. We thank our candidates for their participation today and for their willingness to run for these very important offices. Back to Judy.
Okay, thank you. So thank you. One more round of applause. Thank you, everyone. So I'll just add one more thing that Roberta said. So this is a huge election with tons of stuff on your ballot, from national to local issues all over the place. And the best, I guess, citizen thing we can do is be educated. So I want to thank all of you for spending your time here today to listen to the candidates and get educated. That's really going to be the best we can do for this election. Thank you, and we'll see you all next week. Thanks for coming.